Hey, welcome in. Not special. It's just our game review, not preview, but review the Packers and Lions game from last night. Usually on Tuesdays is when we're going to do them. When it's a Monday night game, we got a quick turnaround. Excuse me, quick turnaround, Ben. Just like the Packers say, quick turnaround. Got that short week. We got a short week for our show, so here you go. Anyway, we got some stuff to talk about from the game yesterday. We got some stuff to bring up that other people did not bring up, which is interesting. But then there were some other things where they said, I listened to Andy Herman's game review with somebody that joined him on there. Can't remember her name. Sorry, I hadn't heard her before.
Something hotness or hotless or hottie hot.
Apparently, she thinks Devontae Adams is the best thing ever and all this stuff, and said she would trust him catching her newborn baby. That's how good his hands are. Which
I would not. I would not. I would not.
I mean, he made some great plays last night. Fine. But anyway, she thinks he was the greatest thing ever. And I was like, there's some other things about the game that were really impressive. And then there were some other things that were a bit alarming. And Andy Herman, while he brought it up. He brought up the points that we all know are true, that if you actually pay attention, you know are true. But he said, I would question if it was this versus this, as opposed to just coming out and saying what it really was. The second half turnaround for the defense was not that the Packers defense was all of a sudden so great in the second half. We clearly know that. But we'll talk about that too. It's just truth, guys. But it's good things. It was a good win. 35-17 victory. Packers win. And we take that away from it. And now they're 1-0 in the division, 1-1 in the season. Okay. Ben, some initial thoughts from the game last night for you. What jumped out at you? Other than you had a huge comeback win in fantasy, thanks to your number man 33. And can you please explain why Aaron Jones had such a huge game last night?
Because they gave him the ball.
The real reason why Aaron Jones had a monster game last night.
Well, you want the truth, honest reason?
Yes, the truth.
Because they gave him the ball in space. It was more of sometimes he ran up the middle and it's pretty good, but it wasn't all based on that offensive line to block for him on the run plays, because they can't block that great on running plays. It was more passes to the outside. They had him lined up, had him going up against a linebacker most of the time, who is way faster than. I mean, there's one time where I think it was Collins was like 4 yards to the outside of him, and Jones caught it and still beat him to the corner and got a first down and a whole bunch more, because he's just way faster. And that's get the ball to Aaron Jones, moving laterally, moving in space, and good things happen. It isn't that hard to figure out.
Now, that's all true. All of that is true. However, you're missing one very key element, which made it such a huge game. And I can't believe you're missing it.
I can, because I'm sure it's something dumb that you're just bringing up because it's dumb.
It is not dumb. It is proven over decades and decades of knowing Jason Eckes.
Oh, okay.
Jason Eckes bought Aaron Jones' jersey just before this game. He wore it for the first time as Aaron Jones' jersey last night for the game. Said that is the main reason why Aaron Jones had a huge game.
No. It's because Aaron Jones is good. Unlike last week, where they were playing a lot of vanilla, dumb, stupid, like Mike McCarthy offense, this week was like, wow, they were pulling out all the stops. There was motion. Devontae was in motion. MVS was in motion. Lazard was in motion. Aaron Jones was in motion. A.J. Dillon was even in motion a couple of times. Robert Tonyan moved in motion. Even I think Mercedes Lewis moved in motion one time. I was afraid he was going to trip and fall, but he did it. And I was like, hey. They had plays that were the shuffle pass for the touchdown to Aaron Jones. They had 2 screens to Robert Tonyan, which both end up being first downs. Wow. How about that? What else? A whole bunch of good stuff. I mean, that was a Matt LaFleur offensive game. And Rodgers needed to be patient. And there were times when he wasn't, like the second drive, which led to, a punt. And then in the first drive of the second quarter, where for some unknown reason, Aaron Jones was not on the field, A.J. Dillon was. And what happened? Oh, yeah, punt. And then even right before the big pass to Devontae, Rodgers took a sack, a dumb one, because he was trying to wait for something to develop downfield or what, I don't know. It ended up being second in a million. And then somehow he got lucky, and Devontae beat his guy a little bit. And he had a killer, awesome pass to Devontae. And then later on in the drive, he had this killer, the old classic Aaron Rodgers, where he threw the guy. He didn't care that the guy was there. He didn't care that Tonyan was double teamed. He just said, he ain't looking. I'm throwing it right past his ear hole, like he did to Richie Rodgers one time again against the Cowboys. I remember that one time where he did that, he would touchdown pass to Richie Rodgers. It was a little bit different, but it was very similar because it was like almost the same type of thing. And here's Tonyan. He just is like, whoop, touchdown. Beautiful.
He only does that with guys he really trusts. He did that with Jordy probably the most. And yeah.
And Richard Rodgers, though. I mean, he does it with guys he knows they're going to, like, he doesn't throw it to that tight window unless they're going to catch it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Corey's in the house. Corey, how you doing? Now, Corey does not understand the Eckes luck factor, but good point that Aaron Jones was the focal point of the offense. The offense should run through him. That's what everybody, all the media guys were saying it last night. Oh my God. Going on and on about Aaron Jones should be the focal point of the offense. And do you feel that when you're the focal point of the offense, everything runs better, blah, 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 all this stuff.
And what did Aaron Jones say about that?
Aaron Jones said, I just play football, man. Or,
no,
we run our stuff. And
this is what he said. He's like, well, it's pretty easy when, you got guys like 17 out there getting double teamed. And he's like, we got Tonyan who did an awesome job on a couple of screen passes and guys like that. He's like, when you got guys like that, all those guys, he's like, no, I don't have to be the focal point. He's like, we have a bunch of good guys who we all make plays. And he took it like that and didn't be a jerk and didn't say, yeah, I'm the man. But then they asked Rodgers about that.
He wasn't like
Tay-Day. Rodgers was all Tay-Day. Like, well, I don't know if we really run the offense through Aaron Jones. I mean,
I don't think he said that.
I don't know what he said.
No, he didn't say that.
In his press conference,
somebody asked
he got a little whiny whine.
Well,
a little.
He got sick of people saying he didn't care, and so that's what he said. He actually
said it.
He swore during it. He said, "Bullshit."
Yeah, well, he said it on Pat McAfee. I knew the game was pretty much done at that point.
All right, we're not going back to that.
Exact words. So I don't want to hear anymore when he's all acting like, oh, well, I guess we just cared more this week and tried to be sarcastic or whatever. You didn't care last week. You admitted that you didn't care in the second half last week. So I don't want to hear it.
All right.
Keep a baby, number 12.
Well, I think
Aaron Jones was the man in this game.
Aaron Jones
Rodgers had to suck it up and play his role and get the ball to the true Aaron of the team. And when he did, the Packers won. Period.
Now, I think you should give Rodgers some credit for dealing the ball quick and dealing the ball like on time and to Aaron Jones when he should, like right at the proper moment, not waiting too long. He did a great job of that in the game.
Some great passes.
Look how great it worked.
When he was in the pocket and he had his 2 feet below him, he had some great passes.
But he also was dealing quick. He was like Jones in the flat. Like maybe he could have waited for something else, but he's like, no, get it over there, and then let Aaron Jones run.
Well, he also had MVS on right before Aaron Jones' second touchdown. He had MVS wide open on inside slant for a touchdown, and he freaking threw it at his feet.
Yeah,
behind him. Because he threw off his back foot because there's a guy.
He still only had like 5 incompletions though. So
and 3 of them were deep passes, or 2 of them were deep passes to MVS, and the other one was the slant touchdown that should have been to MVS.
Yeah.
So,
but
whatever. I'm not trying to get out. I'm just saying he had some good passes.
Yep.
He did what he should do for this team to win. Yep. He doesn't have to be the hero. Right. Now, next game, maybe if they're going to double team Aaron Jones, take him out of the game. Then he needs to go to somebody else. Go to Robert Tonyan. Go to Allen Lazard. Go to MVS. If they take away Devontae and Aaron Jones, well, then he's got to know where to go with the ball. This game, the Lions, they thought they could cover Aaron Jones with a tight end or with a linebacker. Don't move. Wasn't going to happen.
No. Now, also, can I just give a quick plug to the tight end screen? Tight end screen, which I effectively ran in high school about 4 or 5 times. Great play. And Robert Tonyan isn't even that good run after the catch, but you give him some space and give him a little bit of blocking, he does okay. So
that second tight end screen, nice. I thought he did a great job. There's actually 2 guys between him and the first down, and Billy Turner. And he was like, let's see, I can try to run forward and hope that Billy Turner blocks one of these guys, or I can do a jump step back, which is what he did, and then juke and then move forward. He was like, nah, Billy Turner's not going to block this guy. And he didn't. He fell forward and didn't block either of them. But he fell forward. That gave Tunyon the chance to jump back, scoot, and then go forward for the first down. So Tunyon moved pretty good actually in space, and he looked, if not as fast as Kittle, because I watched some Kittle highlights the other day.
Ooh.
He didn't look quite as fast as he used to look. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, of course, I've been watching a lot of Darren Waller, and he's super fast. So maybe that's why I'm comparing tight ends to Darren Waller. You can't really do that. He's like a
all right.
wide receiver out there.
I know Corey's super anti-Rodgers all the time, but he's always like, Rodgers needs to be a game manager, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't need to be a game manager, Corey. He needs to read the game properly and understand what he needs to do in that game. Because there's going to be games where we need him to be the man. And then there's going to be games where he just needs to do what he did last night. If everything's working and the guys are open quickly and just quickly deal the ball. The other factor in that and the other part of that is this scary offensive line, which everybody, I guess, neglected to talk about after the game. The result of the game, because the Packers won big, and Aaron Jones had a big game and all this other sort of stuff. Everybody just somehow neglected to even recognize that the offensive line was pretty rough, pretty scary again. And Royce Newman, the number one culprit, he was terrible. Terrible. He got schooled over and over again. Now, he had a couple plays that he did okay. But I would say he was like 40% good, 60% bad. And at offensive line, you got to be way more consistent than that. So that's scary. John Runyon Jr. started over Lucas Patrick because LP was hurt and then activated late. And then when Matt LaFleur was asked about that, now the Packers are done with LP, I guess, but I'm not done with him yet. I still think he's going to play a role in this season. But when Matt LaFleur was asked about that decision, he's like, well, Lucas didn't practice all week and blah, blah, blah. And then someone followed up and said, did John do enough to win that job or secure that spot? And he's like, it's going to be a competition throughout the season. So I don't understand why those two guys are competing to get on the field for left guard, but Royce Newman is just automatically on the field at right guard because he has been really, really bad. You can go back and just watch the highlights and see lots of Royce Newman bad, even on successful plays where Aaron Rodgers got rid of the ball real quick and then took a shot because Royce Newman couldn't block his guy for a little more than 1 second. And you put him and Billy Turner next to each other, I would never run that side. Never. If I was running back, stay the hell away from those guys. And that's the truth.
Hey, they won.
I know, but I'm telling you, this O-line, dude, if the O-line stinks when we get up against a good freaking team that's got great pass rush. Oh, I don't know. Maybe this 49ers will be pretty good at rushing the passer. What's going to happen? The O-line gets schooled in the middle and those guys aren't ready. It's going to shut everything down. You can have the best quarterback, the best receivers, the best tight end. You can have all that on your team. But if three guys in the middle are squishy and let everybody run through, you got nothing. You got nothing. And Royce Newman scares the crap out of me. This is what I'm seeing from him. Okay. I'm just going to, we'll move on after this. I won't go on any more about O-line because everybody wants to talk about all the other stuff. And we do have to say the defense too. But Royce Newman, if you watch him time and time again, he stands up way too high. Technique is bad. He's not low enough. He basically shoves a guy or tries to get his arms on him quick, disengages within a second, and that's it. And then he's just running around or standing there. That's what 60 to 70% of his plays look like. Somehow he's starting at right guard. I don't get it.
Well, it's obvious they want him to be the starting right guard, and they think he's going to improve over the season because eventually Lucas Patrick and John Runyon are not going to be playing anyways. Because Jenkins will move into left guard and Bakhtiari will be back. So that's why the competition is over at left guard and why right guard is Royce Newman. They think Royce Newman is the starting right guard, and he will be by the time the playoffs start, if they get that far, that he will be their best option at right guard at that point, and they want to get him experience at this point and starting through the rest of the year.
How about let him get better while he practices and doesn't play and give him that. I don't understand it. All these other guys in all these other positions that are higher draft picks, they're like, well, we got to give them time to develop. And we got to blah, blah, blah. And we got Rashawn Gary. We got to keep him, we can't rush those guys into this or we can't do that. But with this guy, he's just in there right away.
They say whatever they could say to match the narrative of what they're doing. They tell you the excuse based on what they are doing.
I'm sorry.
Everything is political. Why did Equanimous St. Brown come in and on second down for the only play of the game, line up at wide receiver? Did you think maybe he was going to get a pass thrown to him because his family was there and his brother was on the other team? Yes. Did the Lions think that was going to happen? Yes. Did they tackle him immediately after he caught the ball? Yes. Was it a waste of a down? Yes. Was it dumb? Hell yes. All that. But it still happened. But after the game, what's the narrative going to be? Oh, well, it was great. And even Matt LaFleur was talking about how they asked him, like, oh, we couldn't even get Amari Rodgers a single offensive snap. And he's like, well, we had 7 active wide receivers for this game. And he kind of chuckled in a weird sort of way. And I'm like, yeah, that helps the team, having 7 active wide receivers. No, but they did it. The narrative will be, they'll come up with some dumb reason why they did it. But the real reason is they just gave him a shot to play because his brother was playing the other side. Whatever. They're going to tell you whatever they want to tell you based on what they do. It's fine.
All right. I'm sorry. Okay. It's fine.
I will say one thing about the offensive line.
All right. Go ahead.
Listening to the game, there were a whole bunch of times where Aaron Rodgers is doing his fake counts and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And multiple cadences. And not once did anybody on that offensive line flinch at all. And he did it at least like 5-6 times where he was like changing up, going crazy and and then going to the right call, and then the ball was get snapped. Also, on the play where there was 12 men on the field, they had to get lined up right away. Whatever the signal is, Myers knew what it was, got the ball snapped right away, and everything worked out. It was almost like Corey Lindsdale out there. So, as far as that goes, maybe not as good at blocking and all that stuff, but as far as running the game, understanding what you're doing, getting on sync with Rodgers, I think Myers has got it now. He's getting there. Of course, it was a home game. That helps. Next week, they're going to be at the dreaded, for the 3rd year in a freaking row, a regular season game at freaking California, San Francisco. I don't understand how that happens. How do we have to go San Francisco 3 freaking years in a row for regular season games? Something's wrong there.
I don't know.
Don't they get to come here once? And then you add the playoff game. This would be the 4th game in a row that we have to go there in the last 3 years. I just don't. And I mean, a playoff game, that's different. But a regular season game, 3 times in a row? Come on.
I don't know, man.
We're getting screwed by that one.
I don't know how that works either, but yeah. I was encouraged by Myers. I mean, his snap. I said the first week his snaps and a lot of the execution at that part of being center, which is super important, was good. And this week his blocking was better, and everything else he seemed to be on top of it. So I like how he's coming along. So I'm really kind of between Billy Turner and the current right guard and right tackle. I'm just a little scared at the moment. I had a couple other. Oh, these are just some of my game notes, Ben. I don't know, because I know I got us off just talking Packers too much and getting ahead and whatever. Here's a couple game notes that I had that I thought were interesting. Okay, again, we talked about remember last year, Robert Tunyon's crazy efficiency, right, for targets and catches. It was like 59 targets and 55 catches or something crazy like that. Last night, the efficiency continued. 3 targets, 3 catches, and a touchdown. So, hey, he just can't. He just catches.
More screen passes.
I don't care.
If you can't catch those, something's wrong.
Well, I don't care. When you go to him, it's usually a positive thing. Number 2, we already talked about O-line. That was one of my things already. Number 3, Randall Cobb last night showed some value. And you know what it was? So Rodgers had the 12-man on the field play. He had another play, quick play, where guys were just, trying to get up there and get him with 12 men. They didn't quite get it. But Randall Cobb did what most of the other receivers do not do. Most of the other receivers, if the coverage is back, they'll continue to run into coverage. They'll run into being covered as they keep running down the field. Randall Cobb in both of those instances recognized The defender was far enough back, kept backing up, gave him space. And so he just stopped, broke his route off and turned around. It was like, here. And there was a ball on its way. So there is Randall Cobb's value. He understands how to adjust his routes in those situations where nobody else does it. And that is helpful to Aaron Rodgers. So there you have Randall Cobb's value for this team. Shown last night on 2 or 3 occasions.
Okay.
That's
awesome.
I made a game note. I was like, Randall Cobb, that's how he can be valuable and helpful. Is he going to be a big high volume catch guy? No. But could he be really critical and some third downs or some plays like that get you conversions? Yes. And he actually had that one over the middle, that 3rd and 14 conversion too that he got. So Randall Cobb showed up a little bit, showed some value. Another game note, not that I'm saying Eric Stokes is good, but as Bernard would say, although he might not say, Stokes is greater than King. Stokes greater than Kevin King and should probably be on the field more than Kevin King.
Well, we're going to defense now.
These are just game notes, man. Game notes.
Well, I thought there were. I haven't looked at the tape again. I will before Friday. But there were multiple times. Yes, the second half, the Packers defense did get, the Lions screwed up, which then turned the ball over and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But there were at least, I think, 3 pass breakups that Stokes had that were on 3rd down or on 2nd down or something important, which caused it to be 3rd and long or caused a punt. And that's more than Jair Alexander even does, because people don't throw at him all that much. But I thought he had a great game playing on the outside. Kevin King, on the other hand, playing in the slot was not good. Also, Jair, here, the other thing I thought was interesting was because I kept asking, where's Shannon Sullivan? Where's Shannon Sullivan? Well, he wasn't out there. They chose to put King in the slot and not have Shannon Sullivan in there until the end of the game when they knew there was going to be passing downs. Then Shannon Sullivan was in the slot and Eric Stokes was on Jair's side and Kevin King was on the outside where he normally is. And Jair was playing the slot corner on the inside of where Kevin King was, which was very weird. Nothing like I had ever seen before. Like, usually Jair just sits on that one side, plays corner on that one side, like the whole game. And here they had him playing slot on the whole other side of the field. And I was like, whoa. And he didn't look good in the slot. So let's not do that anymore. Because there was a lot of completions to him when he was covering a guy in the slot. I think he's just better at corner. And just get Shannon Sullivan out there. He gets beat once in a while, but you know what he also does is he can read things and he makes plays at line of scrimmage. And he's a little bit better tackler than Jair and Kevin King for that matter. So I don't know what's going on yesterday. Where in the nickel defense, Kevin King was in the slot and Shannon wasn't in there, but that needs to stop. That experiment was not great. Let's get Sullivan back in there for next week, please. But that's something I noticed. But I thought Eric Stokes played great, and yeah, Kevin King had one good play where he broke up that pass, that touchdown pass, where he still was flailing around, looked like a ding dong right before he got there, but he got up. Kind of messed up the play, and the guy would have caught it. Cephas had it in his hands, and then King actually punched it out with his other hand, right? And it was actually pretty heads up play for Kevin King to break that up. So
fair.
That wasn't terrible. That wasn't terrible.
He also had that awesome tackle attempt where DeAndre Swift jumped over him, and he just was tackling air.
Yeah, he didn't even realize. Yeah, he jumped before he even started tackle. Yeah, it was pretty sad. Well, that's all right. I mean, there's one time Shannon Sullivan tried tackling Swift on another play on a check down, and he totally whiffed on him too. So it's not. I mean, Swift is fast and quick, so it's nothing new there. But I just thought, I thought the experiment of Jair in the slot was not working. I think keep him on the corner. But I also said in the text, I was like, why don't we put Jair on the other side once in a while? And just see what the defense does. I understand they probably put him on the right side of the quarterback because a right-handed quarterback normally is going to want to throw across his body to the left, right? So you put Jair on the side where the quarterback would be looking first, but people still don't throw over there. They always go to Kevin King, as they did in this game, or Eric Stokes. They kept going to the left over and over and over. But Stokes had a couple pass breakups and he did pretty good. And Devontae Campbell had what do you have, like 11 tackles or something, 12, 13
13.
tackles?
Yeah, 13 tackles.
Interception.
Not many of them were impactful tackles. Most of them were like retreating. So the tackle numbers are a little misleading. Like, yes, he had tackles, but a lot of them were after the guy had pretty substantial gains. Okay. I mean, let's.
Well, how's that any different than Blake Martinez was?
Because Campbell's supposed to be fast. It's supposed to be more dynamic, and I'm not seeing it. But anyway,
13 tackles.
let's talk about what needs to be talked about.
Pass rush
is that too, but just overall,
that number one.
The Lions the Lions are not a good team. Everybody came into this game and were like, oh, the Packers are favored by 11 and the Packers are going to blow them out and get right game for the Packers. And then when it's happening and the Lions score on a long drive and then they score again and they have the lead again and like all this stuff is happening. And Steve Levy, I kept hearing him say, could you have seen this coming? Nobody saw this. I'm like, I saw this coming. What the hell are you talking about, dude? Like, we just talked about it. This is what happens. This is what they do. They give up long drives. They can't get pressure. They can't stop the run. They can't get off the field. And then, and it was everything. It was the defensive line, again, not good enough against the run or the pass. They weren't setting the edge well. There wasn't support from linebackers, at least quick support to make a difference. There wasn't support from safeties. And then it opened up the passing game for the Lions, and they were doing okay there too. So it's like, yeah, this is what we've seen. And it was the same. So I don't know why you expected it. Now, let's be honest. Let's be real about all of it because we need to be. Kenny Clark, come on. Kenny Clark did nothing. Kenny Clark had zero impact in this game. And he is not he is not paid like a guy who should have zero impact in the game.
He had one play, I think.
And give me Dean Lowry. Dean Lowry, look at him. You watch him. He's amped up. He's ready to go. If you look at him in his stance, like he's got that right arm up and he's ready to go. And you know what happens? He gets engaged with a blocker and he gets pushed around like almost every play. He's just not good enough. So
it's what we have.
How can they get better though? Like I've heard some stuff. There's some things going along. Hey, Bernard, there's some things going around. The Packers are trying to look for defensive help potentially in trades. Well, I hope so because they need it. They need some more impactful players on the D line. I was disappointed.
Well, they did a dumb move today.
I was disappointed with Kiki last night too. He couldn't do anything.
Kiki did not have a good game. He got pushed around a little bit. I was actually surprised by how bad he looked on some plays. But today they let Jay Sternberger go.
Sterney,
a guy in his third year who is on his rookie contract as a third round pick, which means he would still have one more year under contract. They let him go instead of maybe letting go of, a big useless guy.
Oh,
I don't know. Who's a captain, apparently. Whatever. But they let him go. And DeGuara is still not playing. He wasn't dressed yesterday. But he still only got 3 guys on a tight end.
They must be happy enough with Daphne then, I guess. And Daphne seems to play hard. Daphne, but... Yeah, he plays hard. I like him. But come on, okay. And then when did the defense did not really get better in the second half? What happened? Andy Herman talked about it. I think he could have talked more strongly about it. But he did say, look, the first time the Packers defense stopped the Lions had a false start and a holding penalty back-to-back. That's how they stopped the Lions. And then Preston Smith had one good pass rush, his one good pass rush of the game. Apparently he's taken the Z Smith approach where I just got to do it one time a game. And that's what stopped the Lions on the first time the defense actually stopped them. Then after that, when did the Packers stop them? Just when the Lions screwed it up. The Lions had a drive going, right? They were marching down the field, got to inside the 10 or around the 10, and they decided to throw the ball 3 times.
I've seen the Packers do that too.
What are they doing? And then on top of that, the other one was the fourth down play. Like, did anyone think? I don't think the Lions had a single run of less than 3 yards in the game.
Yeah, that was a dumb pass.
And it's fourth and just under a yard, and you're not going to run it on this defense? Are you kidding? That's a gift.
And instead of throwing to the side where they had 3 guys, which would have been some sort of a pattern to get somebody open or to have possible pick play or something, he throws to the side where it's just 1-on-1.
And then out
with Eric Stokes.
Way to the sideline, too. Like the hardest throw possible on a 4th and 1.
So they screwed up, but Eric Stokes broke the pass up.
I get it.
Listen, every team is dumb. We've talked about it before the game. People are dumb. They do dumb stuff. And we just have to be the beneficiaries of it and not do that same dumb stuff when we have the ball on offense. And for the most part, we didn't. There's only a couple times where Rodgers took a sack because he was dumb. Other than that, the offense ran great.
Yeah.
I mean, we had awesome plays. The third touchdown for Aaron Jones. There was 3 wide receivers lined up on the left side of the formation. And Tunyon was lined up tight. And then Aaron Jones was in the backfield. And Aaron Jones' first move was to the outside. He did a little juke move and then came back again and ran across the formation. And he went inside. I don't know if you watched this, but he ran between Runyon and Jenkins. So actually, Jenkins gave him a hole, and he ran right. So he didn't have to run all the way around. He ran straight. And the reason why he could do that is because all 3 of the receivers were running crossing patterns, which took all the defense away. And because it was man coverage, it left one linebacker having to cover Aaron Jones. Not going to work. And it was a touchdown. That was play design. That was Matt LaFleur. Okay. The other one, the shuffle pass, that was Matt LaFleur. We had 2 tight end screens. That's Matt LaFleur. We had a lot of really good plays in this game, which we didn't see last week for reasons I don't know, but they were here this week. And Rodgers had to be patient and dump it off and run the system. And yes, it's not a superhero thing, but you know what everybody talked about after the game? Aaron Rodgers had a great game. He had 255 yards and 4 touchdowns. Nobody talked about the fact that one of them was a shuffle pass, which isn't even a pass.
Right.
Which another one was, and the other 2 were wide open, not wide open, but like Aaron Jones had to catch it and then run for 7 yards in the end zone. Nobody talked about that fact. They just talked about Aaron Rodgers had a great game with 250 some yards and 4 touchdowns. It's the Brett Favre factor, dude. Brett Favre had so many 1 to 2 yard touchdowns. I mean, come on, Mark Shimura. How many Mark Shimura 1 yard touchdown catches did he have?
And the Amon Green years were very good to Favre. He would just dump it off to Green and a screen or a flat pass, and Green would run over 5 guys and get a bunch of yards. And hey, the yards all count the same. You gotta like that first touchdown by Jones too, because he was at the swerve roll, the old swerve roll. He wasn't actually in the backfield, right? And then Dylan, I think, was lead blocker for him on that play too, because he was lined up at the halfback spot, and it was smart. It was good. I love it. I love a lot of the plays we saw last night. Very good.
And the guys are talking about how good Goff looked, and I'll be the first to admit, on the pregame show, I said Goff couldn't throw the ball more than 20 yards and be accurate, and he had 2 really good accurate touchdown passes in the first half.
I don't want to go negative again, but
no,
why is it that Jameis Winston looked like a superhero against the Packers, and then this last week he looked like Jameis Winston? Jared Goff looks like a superhero against the Packers. Otherwise, he looks like Jared Goff.
I'm telling you, though, but last week against the 49ers, they didn't do anything special. He just missed wide open guys a lot.
Okay.
But where last night, for some reason, he was hitting them. He hit Cephas when Cephas got beat King.
There was
nothing new. King
there was 0 pass rush. 0 pass rush, though, too, right?
Well, that was the other thing, was there was pass rush, but it wasn't consistent, and he was able to get out and scramble and move a little bit. That one touchdown where
his long runs.
Yeah, he had that one long run that was like 30-some yards. I was like, what is that? Why is there nobody anywhere near him for like ever? He kept going. He's like, well, I've got the first down. He's like, oh, all right, nobody's here. I guess I'll run for another 20 yards. And then Rodgers gave him a hug on the sidelines or whatever it was. I don't know what was going on with that. But it's just like, where is everybody? What are they doing?
Don't those plays scare you when you're going to face Kyler Murray,
yes.
And you're going to,
and Lamar, and we got to play Lamar Jackson.
Jesus.
And we got to play Russell Wilson, and we got to play Patrick Mahomes, and we got to play, what's his face? Trey Lance next week. He'll be on the field a couple times for the 49ers.
Right.
You think they're not, you don't think Kyle Shanahan is watching Jared Goff run all over us? and be like, oh, we're gonna, and then Justin Fields twice with the Bears. Yeah, it scares the crap out of me.
They got to figure that part out. It was just funny watching Goff run because you could tell he was not used to running that much. I think he had his career high rush in the first half, and then he had his career high rush in the third quarter.
Yeah,
like career high rushes in the same game. Staying on something that was funny. All right, so I didn't watch any of the Manning stuff, the Manning brothers. And I know I should because apparently they're what we model ourselves after, or they're modeling themselves.
They're not as good as us.
Okay, fair enough.
They're not even close. There's a lot of dead weight, and they don't know how to go in and out of breaks. And it's like when they have guests, they really don't. Like Peyton's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And Eli doesn't say hardly anything. He just like cuts in a little joke here and there, and it's okay, but it's not great.
Now, so I didn't watch it, but I did watch like the clip they had of them reacting to Aaron Rodgers' 50-yard throw to Adams and then the touchdown throw to Tunyon. There was like a 2-minute segment in there with Brett Favre.
Yeah.
So they were talking to Brett Favre at that time when that all happened. And maybe that's what stimulated Rodgers. Maybe he knew Favre was talking about him. He's like, all right, I'll show you what's up, Favre. And throw those awesome passes. Anyway, probably not, but you know what I mean. Rodgers got the sixth sense about stuff. Now, the funniest damn thing I'd ever heard, which of course they reacted to those passes like, holy crap, blah, 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 whatever. And then they asked Favre, I don't know if you caught this part, but they asked him, like, yeah, Brett, well, what do you think Aaron picked up from you when you were, when he was sitting behind you there? What did he learn from you? And Favre was like, he didn't know what to say. He didn't say anything at first. And then he tried to stumble around a bit, and then finally it was like, well, I think those off platform throws, like throwing from any angle, and being able to do that, I think that was something he might have got from me. But it took him forever to he struggled with answering that question so bad. It was super hilarious. And as he's doing it, the first thing he said was like, well, he takes care of the ball a lot better than I ever did, and blah blah blah. And then I thought he would just say the eye thing, because that's what Rodgers always said, that the only thing he really learned from him was watching his eye discipline, how he manipulate safeties and stuff with his eyes. But he didn't even get that one. He made up some other crap after he couldn't think of anything that Rodgers took from him, which is pretty funny. That was hilarious to me. It was hilarious. And then as they were talking about that, Rodgers threw the pass to Tunyon, and then Peyton Manning flipped out because he knew he could never make a pass like that.
Yeah. And
never did. And they were just like, holy crap. Anyway, it was awesome.
Yeah. Well, that was a crazy pass. It was awesome.
It was insane. But it's something that he used to be able to do. It's what Justin Herbert does now. So, it's cool to see that. Even Patrick Mahomes doesn't make that pass. But Patrick Mahomes he runs around until guys get open. Is what he does. Right. Where Rodgers, he just, hey, let her fly, man. That defender can't make it. He can't. He's either going to pass interference because he's going to freak out and then not know where he is and then run into him, or it's going to bounce off his helmet, or who knows what happens. I don't know. But I could have bounced off his helmet and then bounced in the air and could have been picked, actually. But I didn't do that scenario justice enough. So you should go watch the clip so you can actually see how Favre responds to that question. It's much better than what I tried to relay.
No, it's not. I watched some of the Favre stuff. It was not good.
No, but that part is because they asked him, and
even Gronk was not that. He was sort of funny, but not really.
Yeah.
It's just a weird dynamic because Peyton is so dry and Eli is so boring that these guys come on there and they don't know what to do. The best part was Pat McAfee came on for the fourth quarter.
All right.
And then he kind of took over the show. He started asking Eli and Peyton questions because he realized these guys don't know what the hell they're doing here. I got to take over the show so that people don't think they're watching some boring, because there's times where the first quarter it was just Eli and Peyton. And there were times where neither of them are talking. And then Peyton's trying to say something, but then they're watching the game, and then it's just dead. So when Pat McAfee came out in the fourth quarter, he kind of took over and was like, hey, Eli, well, what about this? And hey, what about this? And what do you think about this? And blah, blah, blah. So it was better in the fourth quarter and Pat McAfee was on because he's got experience talking all day long on his show.
Yep.
But I think we'd be much better. We'd be much better than those two guys.
We can't speak to football analysis and play breakdown like those guys could, but we'd probably be more entertaining.
No, we weren't. We
keep it
Hall of Fame quarterback and a not quite Hall of Fame quarterback like Peyton and Eli.
But we sometimes recognize some stuff. Although Nico said Hall of Fame. I don't know why. And didn't Browner say that too last year?
Yeah, but Browner thought Jared Goff was good last year, remember?
Yeah, that's true. All right. We'll give Browner a pass on that. All right. Corey pointed out that Lazard was open and everybody thought the ball was going to Lazard and Rodgers didn't carry. He just threw it to Tunyon. And he in being in his post game, he just said that he liked the pre-snap matchup and he was like, I'm going there. If he even gives me a little bit of a chance, I'm going to him. So, but it also speaks to the importance of Robert Tunyon and his offense, especially if teams are going to play cover 2 against the Packers. I said it Monday night before the game. One of the ways to attack the cover 2, the split safeties, is running a fast guy down the middle. And if you got Tunyon, a big tight end that can do that, that's a way to attack. All you got to do is get behind the linebacker, and you can make big plays.
Right, because when you attack the middle of the field, the quarterback throwing to that middle of the field, the safety can't get there.
Right.
If he tries to throw to the outside, the safety is in between the quarterback and the receiver. So it's a harder pass. He has to make sure he fits the ball in there perfectly. And all they have to do this way is get to that second level. It's going to be interesting. I hope they have a lot more interesting plays and cool developments built out of that. But even that play, for instance, was perfect if he had even gone to Lazard, like you said earlier. I mean, that was where he should have gone with the ball.
That wasn't a touchdown, though. I think Lazard would have got tackled.
No, I understand that, but it was 3rd down, and that would have been a 1st down easy.
Right.
So, but I mean, like, it's fine. Take the touchdown if you think you got a touchdown. That's great. But it would end up being if that would have been incomplete or something, it would have been a field goal where he could have had a 1st down with more plays. But whatever. I mean, it was a great pass and a great catch. It's Tunyon, and he's going to catch it most of the time. So hey.
And that was a pivotal drive. That was first drive of the third quarter, second half. They were still down by 3. They ended up after the sack in a 3rd and 12 when he threw the pass to Adams. Yeah. So, I mean, this is the one part that I don't understand, and I don't want to get on it too hard, but it again just showcases the people that I still don't get who love Favre and don't like Rodgers. It's like, dude, it was 3rd and 12, and he threw a freaking 50-yard bomb to a dude and completed it. But I mean, the people who love Favre because he would attack and chuck the ball downfield and do all this stuff and whatever, like Rodgers gives you all that. He gives you that same stuff, except he doesn't throw all the picks. So you should like him more. He's better for your team. Anyway, I understand Double Doink puts in here the interceptions comparison, which was really funny. But he also puts in game-winning drives. Well, part of that is Aaron Rodgers hasn't been behind a lot in his career, especially early in his career. They were ahead.
That's what the Rodgers apologists say.
No. They were. If you go
back,
what
the realists say.
If you go back and look at the scores,
some guys know.
You go back and look
Aaron
at the
Rodgers
scores.
realizes that the game was over. Pretty much over.
You're gonna go back there for one.
So there isn't really a comeback going to happen if the guy believes that the game is over.
He's had comebacks. He has had comebacks. He just hasn't had that many.
He's also
many
given
opportunities.
Up on games, and I've seen it.
You and I watched games with Barfy Favre where the team was really good. He played like garbage, and that's the reason they were behind. And then he pulled some crap out in the end.
Well, yes.
So, but the only reason they were down in the first place is because he threw like 4 picks.
And he threw 6 interceptions against the Rams.
Yep.
Because he never gave up. Aaron Rodgers will never throw 6 interceptions. Ever.
He never.
Because after 2, he's like, I'm done. I'm not throwing any more dumb balls like this. Because he don't want that many interceptions.
All right, we should stick to the
Barf would go all day. He would just be like, barf, throw another pick. Barf, throw another pick. That's okay. Barf.
All right, let's stick to the here now. Okay, any other? Okay, so the one thing I just really wanted to make sure people realize, because that's if you didn't watch the game closely or you got secondhand accounts of it or whatever, you'll hear from everybody saying that the defense really turned it on and played a great half, and even the players were saying, like Devontae Adams, the defense really played a great half. Come on, the Lions fumbled the ball, the Lions did dumb stuff, like. The defense wasn't instantly good. Don't let what happened in the second half trick you into believing that this defense is all of a sudden right. It's not. There's a lot to do, but there were some adjustments. And apparently, this is just really weird. Apparently, Matt LaFleur had to go to Joe Barry at halftime and say, look, either play coverage or bring pressure because right now, you're not doing either, and you're just giving Jared Goff all day. So why does the head coach have to go to the defensive coordinator and tell him how to do his job? Like, I don't get it. What? And that happened with Pettine too last year a bunch of times, right? LaFleur said stuff in the media about what the defense was doing and didn't do, and how he didn't understand it. So what's up with that? I don't get it.
Well, I would say that's good.
I mean, it is good that
Because
he's
last
doing
year,
it, but he
LaFleur
shouldn't
would say
have
something
to.
to the press after the game. This
True.
game, he said it to him at halftime. And he said it directly to the guy. Maybe he didn't feel comfortable with Pettine because Pettine was a head coach prior to this, and he was there with the Packers before LaFleur ever showed up, and he wasn't his pick at defensive coordinator. So he didn't feel like he should be telling him what to do. And he was, of course, a rookie head coach, and then last year, second-year head coach. This year, he's a third-year head coach. And this year, he watched everybody slam the crap out of him for kicking a field goal in the NFC Championship game instead of going for it on 4th down and 8 when they couldn't move the ball on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd down. But he took all the blame. And he realizes now, I'm going to take all the freaking blame for this crap if this goes wrong. Because I've already gotten Pettine out of town. I use him as a scapegoat. And from now on, if something goes wrong, it's me. Because I chose this guy. Well, actually, I chose Jim Leonard, but he didn't want to come. But then I had to choose this guy. And therefore, I got to get on him and tell him, hey, guess what? The four guys that we have can't get any pressure. Can we please send Amos? And then they did. And Amos got some pressure that one time. Woo-hoo-hoo. Wow, what a thought. Send a guy every now and again. And now that, send a guy who's a little bit faster than these slow pieces of crap that apparently can't catch Jared Goff, who's not even fast. But I am way more happy about the fact that he went to him at halftime and talked to him. Because last year, he would talk to the media after the game. That doesn't help. Obviously, it didn't help last year because he kept saying it after every single game. I don't know what we were doing on 3rd and 9. I don't know why we were playing 12 yards off on 3rd and 9. Nobody knows. This year, he went up to him and he said, hey, stop playing off or blitz some dudes. One or the other, let's do it. And he did. And they did do that a little bit more. Because I did see Amos blitz once. And I saw some guys going, I think Devontae Campbell ran in there one time.
Yep.
Stuff happened. They caused more of a pressure on Jared Goff. And he, there was the fumbles. And the play where the ball came flying out of his hand, Gary was right in his face. So that was a good pressure play. That wasn't a blitz or anything, but Gary got pressure on that play. I mean, I don't know if he would have gotten tackled or anything. Maybe he would have gotten out of it, but he was right there. So I would just say I'm encouraged to the fact that he's talking to the coaches at halftime and making it clear, hey, guys, this is not good enough. Whatever we planned for this week isn't working. Let's change it up because this is what needs to happen moving forward. The results were better. Results were better. Maybe it didn't look dramatic, but the Lions made mistakes. Who's to say? Maybe some of those mistakes were because Goff was worried about a blitz coming because a blitz had come earlier in a different drive, and that was 3rd and long, and maybe he was worried a blitz was coming, and coming from the backside he wasn't going to see, and he went back to throw the ball, and it just came flopping out of his hand. That's why it happened. Who knows? But he had a lot more pressure on him in the second half than he did in the first half, and he was less comfortable in the second half than he was in the first half, and his jersey was a lot more green in the second half than it was in the first half. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I think it was a good thing, and I know some people are saying, well, Matt LaFleur is a micromanager or Joe Barry's a ding-dong, or I don't give a crap if Joe Barry's a ding-dong or whatever. Matt LaFleur needs to tell these guys this is what's up. Agreed. And like I said, he needs to know who's in the game at what time. Hopefully he's doing it this year. But once again, what happened at the start of the second quarter? A whole drive with no Aaron Jones. And what did they do? They punted. Just put Aaron Jones on the field. Even if he's a decoy, just have him run around a couple times in the back. Go run around back and forth. Just to mess with the defense. That'll give him a break. He doesn't have to get the ball and get tackled. Just have him run around and be a decoy. But have him on the freaking field at all times. It's dumb. All right, I'm done.
Okay, I think it's a good thing too, just to finish on that. I just don't understand why the head coach has to do that. Like, you as the D coordinator, you don't see that you're getting your butts whipped all over the joint. It's not working. Why wouldn't you switch it up? And it's just weird that, Pettine had that and now Barry has the same thing. And it's just kind of weird to me.
If they talked about it all week that they weren't going to do that, they were going to rely on their their front four to get pressure, and that's what they talked about all week. It's not like he's going to go and just change what their plan was because, and they were still a tie game. It wasn't like they're getting their butts creamed, and maybe LaFleur was just like, hey, guess what? It's not working. These guys don't have it in them today. They can't get to the quarterback. He's making too many plays after, the initial play is done. He's scrambling around and making a good pass. We can't have that crap anymore.
All right.
So I'm cool. I'm cool with that. And apparently my dad is too. Our dad, he knows what's up.
I'm good with it. He's ultimate, like you said, he's ultimately the guy that's going to shoulder the blame. And, he's got to take charge. He's got to take charge.
Especially after
Head
this year.
coach.
If Rodgers isn't here, he's the man next year.
Yep.
Like everything's going through him. He's going to have to stop being Mr. Nice Guy, Hollywood good looks. He's got to start being smack up your side of the head, tough guy. You got to be like Motor City Dan Campbell was. That guy's a tough guy. He looks pretty awesome.
Kiki had a rough game. Lancaster had a rough game. Double Doink points out lots of other good comments. Hey, there's one other cool thing. Blas made like a ton of comments here during the game and watching the game. So we always forget Blas's comments, and he made so many, spent all this time. I'm going to rip through some here. Just here are some Blas takes. He says, AR seems to have been trained this week. He looks almost as modern QB. Then he says, Goff started good. Wait, same in Saints game. Could it be the issue is not the opposing QBs, but our D? That's a good question, a good observation. Then he also says, Amari's returns need to be more vertical, and which leads you to returns. Now, Kylan Hill showed something on returns. Amari Rodgers didn't show a lot on returns. So I don't know if Kylan Hill might be able to make an impact more on this team on returns, but I like him in the open field. I think that's good. And then he had a whole bunch of other takes. He did say Newman got schooled several times. That's true. Talked about Hill on the returns. And then, he also said that ESPN commentary quite superior to Fox. Well, that was Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. So yes, I'd have to say it was probably superior for sure. But I like Louis Riddick a lot.
Louis Riddick and Brian Greasy, I think they do pretty good.
Yeah.
And Steve Levy's, but he was doing hockey for a long time.
Yep.
And I think he only got this Monday Night Football gig because they they had no other choice. And they're like, we don't want to hire somebody new. We're just going to, Steve Levy, you do it. And I think that's what ended up happening. And they took Booger off the field and they make him like, he's now halftime talking guy with Susie Culver or whatever her name is. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know what happened to Matt Hasselbeck. He used to be on there. Now he's just on the Sunday morning show, which is kind of disappointing because Hasselbeck was always really good. But
he is good.
He's the man. Hasselbeck, number one quarterback in the history of all NFL. Okay, that's just me.
Hot one.
But
Blas's last one, he says, or one other one I want to point out, he had a few more in there, but he said, Mason is the Baron of kickers. Every time he kicks an extra point, I clench. Because he's got that weird. Well, I think you're nervous because he's got that weird. Remember how like other kickers just kick it and the ball just goes straight, and Mason's always got that wobble to it that weaves back and forth, and you're never sure, is it good? Is it bad? Is it going to go in? Oh, it comes back. Mason's kind of, I don't know how he does it. But he's been remarkably good for many, many, many years, except one. One time, Eckes cursed him by going to Detroit.
Yep.
Other than that, he's been great. Okay, final takes from anything else in the game. Ben, you got anything else?
If they play like that, they run the offense, try to get the ball to Aaron Jones as much as possible. Maybe get more guys involved a little bit. I mean, it's surprising they score all those points and Lazard had no catches and MVS had no catches, and it's odd. And I know MVS had the targets deep and all that, but you can connect to one more of those here and there, and you're talking about, maybe even 40 something points. But the bottom line is Aaron Jones is your best guy. He makes the team move. He makes the plays move. And if you get him involved early and you give him easy plays where you can get him in space, that makes the defense worry about him, which then opens everything up for Devontae and, Tunyon and everybody else. So let's just be smart. Their first 3 plays of this game, Aaron Jones run, Aaron Jones run, Aaron Jones run. I'm not saying you have to do that every week, but it doesn't hurt. You know, Aaron Jones is good. Let's get him the frickin' ball. And then after that, the defense worries about it. And then Rodgers can smack the crap out of him with pinpoint accuracy deep because he's got more time in the pocket because the play action's working. Teams are worried about Aaron Jones a little more. Also, the movement was great, like I said. That's good stuff. On the defensive side, I kind of liked Eric Stokes. He was aggressive, and he's quick. He had some pass breakups. Maybe they could have been called pass interference a couple times. I have no idea. I got to watch the tape to see how close it was. But he had some pass interference, or he had some pass breakups. I'll take them. And now what we need is we just need the defensive line to hold their own. The 49ers are hurt at running back. They don't have Mostert's out for the year. So their speedster's gone. They got a bunch of guys no one's ever heard of playing running back there. So, but we all know it's the system, not necessarily the back. And we're going to face another top, even better tight end next week than we did this week. And as far as I don't know, that's the only thing that bothered me. How many times did you see Hockenson covered one-on-one?
A lot.
I mean, anybody who watches the tape knows they're going to Hockenson, double team Hockenson. That's where they're going to go. Him and Cephas. That's it. The only two guys they pass it to downfield. And then you worry about the running backs out of the backfield. That's because Goff will, he'll take it down to the running backs. So now you're facing George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. Worry about those two guys. Make sure that you got them covered, because otherwise it's going to be a long day. So we saw some improvement, but it's going to be back at 49ers, San Francisco. They come out and lay an egg like they did last, 2 years ago, and they laid an egg at San Francisco. It's going to be rough, but we'll see what happens.
I just want to see the defensive approach be what they say that they want to do, which is play fast and attack. Then play fast and attack. Just do it. And if you get beat sometimes, so what? Your offense is good enough. You just get the ball back. It's fine. But sitting back in soft zones and soft coverages and letting guys run around open and Garoppolo would be happy to throw it in the flat all the time too. He'd be happy to do that. He doesn't want to throw it downfield. No way. So play fast, attack, bring some pressure. And if you get beat, you get beat. It's okay. I'd rather have more possessions in the game for the offense and maybe some big plays given up by your defense than less possessions in the game. Because again, the Packers still only had 3 possessions in the first half or something, maybe 4, but it wasn't enough. So,
well, they had to kneel down at the end, so that was 4, I think.
That's right. I want to see it. I made the comment during the game. I was like, watching Campbell, I was watching Barnes. I'm like, Summers can't be worse than these guys. Can we just, at least he's got speed. Can we put him out there and see if it's any better? I don't know. I'm starting the campaign. Week 2 into week 3. I'm already starting the campaign for Ty Summers. Ty Summers, get some playing time. Get on the field. Let's get him out there. Can't be any worse. Maybe that's not a great selling point, but can't be any worse. That's what I say. I don't know. And I hope Slayton, I hope somebody in the interior can make a bigger difference, because they definitely need it. Yes, the edge setting has been a problem, but also the middle of the defensive line is getting reset. The line of scrimmage is getting reset against those guys almost every play in the first 2 weeks. They're not winning. They're not pushing the offensive lineman back in any way. Even if they, like Kenny Clark had a good play. This one play I watched where he fought off the block. He made the tackle. It was still a 4-yard gain. And that was a good play. Like, the reason that happens is because he's getting pushed back 2 yards off the initial. And then when he comes off his block, well, by the time you bring a guy down coming off a block, it's 4 yards, man. They have to be better there. They have to. So they got to figure that out too. Maybe it's more TJ Slayton. Maybe it's more rotation. Something's got to change though. So, all right. We will hope that the Packers pull it together on the lines and the defense attacks, and we'll see what happens. Trip out to San Francisco next week. We'll catch you guys on when are we doing our shows now? Ben's got a new work schedule.
Not
You
yet.
get not yet? Okay.
Starting tomorrow. I work 8 days in a row at 5 in the morning. So yay for
Ooh.
me.
But your daughter's still got the Friday night stuff?
No, only on home games. They're not home this
Oh,
week.
not home this week. So you want to do Friday?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So regular time Friday, but when Ben starts his new schedule, we might have to switch it up and go to Saturday or I don't know, something like that. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out and let you guys know. Anyway, Friday night, we'll be back on 9 p.m. Hafeman Bros channel. There's our thoughts. A lot of thoughts. Probably too many for me, but that's what you get tonight. All right. You guys are awesome. Be safe. Be well. Brother, I love you. We'll